Join me weekly for Experience Galveston for ideas of what to see and do on beautiful Galveston Island. Today on Experience Galveston, we're visiting the Galveston Naval Museum at Seawolf Park, and we're going to take a tour of the USS Stewart.
Inside of the fence line here is the Cavalla, which is a World War II fleet-type submarine, and a World War II Destroyer Escort, which is an anti-submarine weapon. So you have the submarines that went after the Japanese and the Japanese Navy and Japanese freighters and tankers, and you have a Destroyer Escort that was designed to find enemy submarines, predominantly German submarines. So what you have here is a memorial to World War II and a teaching tool to try to teach history. This ship was a state-of-the-art ship when it was designed, and she was very, very capable as an anti-submarine vessel. Just to explain what a destroyer escort is, a destroyer is about half again the size, well, about a third more bigger. But they also are steam-powered. This ship is diesel-powered, and they're capable of making somewhere in the vicinity of 30 knots, the destroyers were. The destroyer escorts were smaller, more nimble, but their top speed was only about 21 knots. And considering that their only job was to protect tankers and freighters that were in convoys going across the Atlantic to either England or France. So these ships were specifically designed for that purpose. They were not designed to go out and do combat in the line like with a cruiser or battleships. That isn't to say that that didn't happen, because it did during one of the battles where this type of ship took on heavy cruisers for the Japanese. Come back to this wardroom area, you'll notice over the wardroom table is a light for surgical work. This is also the surgery during battle stations. One of the things that I like to talk to people about, particularly here in Houston, is, and many people are not aware of this, the USS Stewart was built here in Houston at a shipyard called Brown Shipbuilding, which is basically, for those of you from Houston probably would know, it's where Greens Bayou comes into the ship channel, which is just inside of the existing beltway. But the most important thing to me, historically, this was the first of 62 that Brown Shipbuilding built. And during one 52-week period, they delivered 52 of these destroyer escorts to the government. One a week.
That's incredible.
Incredible. This design here, there would have been a door here during the war. Mm-hmm. And the design was to close that door when they're in the open ocean, particularly when it gets rough. And that allows, when the bow goes down and into the water, into a wave, the water runs back, and instead of running the full length of the main deck, it gets washed over the side by these doors, and there's one on each side. Behind me is the Hedgehog projectors. This ship had Hedgehog, which were developed during World War II. During the first part of World War II, because the depth charges that are on the stern are very difficult to follow a submarine when you set off explosions underwater. If you don't sink it with a depth charge, which usually was the case, the noise of the explosion blocks the ability of your sonar to track the enemy submarine, the Japanese or German submarine. So with the Hedgehogs would go out. They were fired out, a group of 24 of them. They would sink down, and if they did not hit anything, they didn't explode. So you could continue to track the submarine, and in doing so, it enabled you to maintain contact with the submarine. There's an awful lot of people that have lost that historical perspective of what this country went through at the beginning and during World War II.
Thank you for joining me for Experience Galveston. Remember to submit your ideas to I-45 Now and Galveston Now, and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube.